Okay. Let me just post this on my Instagram, see if we get some more soy boys and goji girls joining this live. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Alrighty. We are live. Let's see if anybody joins. Got 2 people joined here, I see. Welcome, welcome. How are y'all doing? We're all having a good Sunday fun day. I just finished an amazing workout outside. We are so lucky that here in Spain, we have a nice garden outside, so we get to do a little home gym setup. So I got to do some weights, and after the weights, did some sprints. And doing weights on the legs and then doing sprints is a very annoying feeling, because your legs are so tired that by the time you're doing sprints, you have almost nothing left to give. So, but anyways, it was nice to do some cardio. It was nice to get some of that blood pumping. We got Charlotte Croft. Hello. Hi, Charlotte. Welcome to the live. Hope you're all doing okay. Got Kiara. Hey, Kiara. How are you doing? How are things back in the US? I heard it's getting pretty crazy with the Corona stuff now. We got Melinda. We got Mind versus Misery. All right, so we already got a question. Okay. I haven't even announced whether or not I'm taking questions, Mind versus Misery, but I will actually take some questions. So what I'm thinking of doing actually is I think I'm going to start doing weekly lives. I'm going to be doing them on Sundays, if that is the best time to do them. I think for me, it'll be the best time, and I thought of doing it around this time, so noon Eastern time, which is about 9 a.m., I think, West Coast, as well as 5 p.m. here, Central European time. So I know all of you soy boys and goji girls are all over the world, so we're going to have to coordinate a good time. So let me know if you think that would be a good time to do lives every week on Sundays noon Eastern time. That's what I'm aiming for. So I guess today will be the first of many, hopefully. And what I'm thinking of doing is just have a chill hangout session. We'll just talk about whatever comes to mind. You guys feel free to ask any questions, and I will just sit here and blabber for an hour, 2 hours, however long I feel like. So, and also, if we get any questions that we're unable to answer or we can't find a good answer to in the moment, then I will jot them down on a piece of paper. Let's see if I can find there's a printer here, so I'll find a little piece of paper right here. Piece of paper. We also got a pen. I'll jot it down and then look it up, do some reading, find some good info on it, and then we can address it in the beginning of next week's live. And that way, whenever there's something we can't figure out together with all our brains put together, then we can always just go and check it and go through it next week. So I think that will be a good setup. We'll just start every week with whatever questions from last week we didn't get to answer, and then we'll start a new Q&A session and just chill out. What do you guys think? Does that sound like a good deal? I think it's going to be fun. So might as well just get started. We got already one question here from Mind versus Misery. Do you have any tips on how to get shredded without losing muscle mass? So a few tips. Number one would be not to have a very quick weight loss. If you're doing a very, very quick weight loss, then it's a lot more difficult to hold on to your muscle mass than if you're doing a slow, small caloric deficit and a slow weight loss over time. Obviously, you still want to do weight training that will stimulate your muscles to grow or maintain at least while you're losing weight. And then you want to keep your protein intake very high as well. And when I say very high, I don't mean 2 grams per pound, or even some people go even more extreme, 3 grams per pound or whatever. But the majority of the research suggests that around, if you're getting close to 2 grams per kilogram of lean body weight, then even if you are losing weight slowly, you should be able to, that would be an optimal amount of protein from a bodybuilding point of view. So if you're looking at bodybuilding perspective, this is what you can do. But from a health point of view, protein is a non-issue. It's very, very easy to get enough, so I wouldn't worry about that. But yeah, first thing, don't make your weight loss too quickly. Second thing, get your protein high. Third thing, make sure to hit the weights and keep doing a lot of weight training style workouts. All right. Hope that answers your question. Mind versus misery. You're going to have a lot of misery in the gym to keep those gains up. All right. We got Peter Simon. Good morning. Hope you're doing well, Peter. It's afternoon here in Spain, but I'm guessing you're in the US, so good morning to you as well. We got Kiara. Pretty crazy. Just finished my first week of online classes, though. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Thank you very much. And that's exciting. Yeah. So Kiara is studying in university, and online classes is, I guess that's something new for everyone. I've heard already there's quite a lot of funny stuff on the internet about online classes. People all over are getting used to that. But for myself, I guess things haven't changed too much because most of the stuff I do is online anyways. And I'm lucky enough, as I said before, to have the house here, the family is here. We have an outdoor gym. I get to do sprints outside in front of the house. So yeah, things are pretty normal here. And one thing that we were talking about yesterday that was amazing actually is we have a little rooftop where we sometimes have dinners and stuff like that. And we live basically on top of a mountain here in Spain where you get to see a few towns around. And from our house, we have never had such good visibility ever. I can never remember a single time in my life where I could see so far down over the ocean, boats so far away. I could see the neighboring towns so clearly, so crystal clear. And that's never happened before. So I guess this is one of the good things that is coming out of the coronavirus, is that we really are cleaning up the environment because there's so much less traffic, there's so much less pollution, and the air just feels so clean. It's really amazing. We have to ask ourselves, like, what is this worth? I mean, this to me is this is worth a lot, really being able to walk around with clean air and taking care of the environment. It's for me, it was a really kind of a surprise to see how big a difference it has, how big a change has happened over the last couple of weeks. So that was a nice thing. All right, we got some more people joining. Welcome everyone. Welcome. We got Michael Askew. Hello everyone. Tyler. Opinion on multivitamins from Tyler Marantet. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm not the biggest fan of multivitamins just because there is little research to suggest that most supplements work as well as getting nutrients from their natural source, meaning from the whole food package that they naturally come in. So if you can get your vitamins from foods, that is always what I recommend. Always prefer foods over supplements. And when it comes to multivitamins, most vitamins are so easy to get enough of. When we're talking B1, B2, B3, B6, B9, all of these, like folate and all of these, it's very, very easy, right? Vitamin C, very easy. Most of these vitamins and minerals are extremely easy to get from foods if you know where to look. And so I would suggest always trying to get those. The only, I guess, exceptions to the rule, I would say, is for things like vitamin B12 and vitamin D3 if you're not out in the sun a lot. As you guys can see, I don't know if you can see it, it's pretty sunny out here in Spain, so I worked outdoors today, so that's not a problem for me. But even in the summer, it's not just during the winter, any day you're not getting that ultraviolet radiation exposure on your skin, then vitamin D3 is a good supplement to take during that day. And then vitamin B12, as I mentioned. Other than that, the only one I sometimes consider is iodine, simply because it's very unreliable in terms of, you can find it in fruits, veggies, nuts, legumes, but it's very unreliable depending on where it's grown, where geographically, what soil it's grown on. You don't really know how much iodine you're getting. So the only really reliable sources are sea vegetables, such as nori. These have safe amounts of iodine, whereas things like kelp can actually have really, really high amounts that can actually be toxic doses. So I wouldn't eat a lot of kelp. And hijiki as well. There's always some concerns around arsenic poisoning as well. So I would avoid those. But when it comes to, there's certain sea vegetables that are safe amounts. And then the other one is iodized salt, not sea salt, not Himalayan salt, not any of those, but actual iodized salt. So those are ways that I like to have a liquid supplement that I just put 1 drop in my water in the morning when I have my glass of water. Done. But again, there's other ways of getting it too. So you just have to figure out what is the best way. But in terms of multivitamins, multivitamins, not the biggest fan. It's just unnecessary, and there's actually some evidence that certain supplements actually do you more harm than good. So there's been few things in the past, such as beta carotene. It's really good when it's coming from food, but when you supplement, it actually increase the risk of lung cancer in smokers and stuff like that. So supplements in general, not my go-to source of nutrition. Hope that answers your question. All right. So that was Tyler. We got quite a few people joining now. Welcome, everyone. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. So we got, what do you think of flu vaccines? So that's Don Buckner. So flu vaccines, they're there really to protect the vulnerable, right? So we got the elderly. Basically, it's usually incorporated into public health policies for people 65 and up in most countries. Might be different depending on where you are. But, it can save a lot of lives. I mean, we're talking about 650,000 people die per year of the flu, I think, something like that. But, it's really mostly for people who are either, like I said, elderly, people who are immunocompromised, have very weak immune systems, or people who are working in the healthcare industry. So if you're a healthcare worker and you're in contact with these people, and you're in direct contact with people who are immunocompromised, people who are elderly, then you're recommended. The only times I've ever taken the flu vaccine was when I was people I'm in contact with, not really for myself. Because, if you're a young, healthy person, or even a lot of times a little bit more elderly, but still very healthy person, flu is not, it's not something dangerous at all. So I don't really take it usually. It's only when I'm in those situations. And yeah, it's, some years are better than others. As you guys know, sometimes they predict the virus very well. Sometimes they don't. And vaccines are always a very controversial topic, but from a public health point of view, definitely a big win for society. A lot of good stuff comes out of vaccines, but it's also completely dishonest to stand here, or sit here rather, I'm sitting, and say that there's no problem. Some harm that can happen due to vaccines. So anyways, hope that answers your question. We got quite a few questions going on here. I might have to speed up my answers, otherwise I won't be able to keep up. Oh, we got Paul Hench Herbivore. Hey, how's it going? Awesome. I was actually first time I finally was able to catch you on your live on YouTube yesterday. So yeah, it's cool to see you here, man. Hope you're doing well. I don't know how the quarantine situation is in the UK, but I'm sure you're handling it all right. You beast. All right, let's see. Do you have any favorite animal rights activists? Yeah, I mean, James Aspie. I love that guy. Met him in person. Super inspiring. Amazing speaker. And just an all-around cool guy. So James Aspie, we like. Earthling Head, I've actually also met in person. Can't say anything but positive things about Earthling Head as well. It was actually really funny. The first time I met him, I was in VegFest I was speaking at in Dublin, in Ireland. And the organizer who was there basically introduced me to Earthling Head. I had no idea who he was before that. So I thought he was just like a fan or something. And I was like, the first impression I got was like, oh, wow, look at it. This guy, he's like really, like long hair, kind of like the hippie stereotype. And I was like, hey, nice to meet you. And then I just went on about my day, didn't really think of it much. And then I saw him speaking. And I was like, oh, it's that guy who I got introduced to. He's doing a speech. Oh, cool. And then I walked into the speech. I listened in, and the amount of passion that came out of that man, and the connection that he got with that audience, it was really, really inspiring. A really, really skillful speaker. And yeah, I mean, his success speaks for itself, right? He's done so much great stuff for the movement, and had a lot of great talks all over the world. So I was really happy to meet him back in the beginning days as well, and a super awesome guy. And then I met Joey Carbstrong. I didn't really get to talk to him much. I don't know him too well, but he seems like a good guy as well. But yeah, those are the three that I've really met, and I think they're all awesome people. All right, let's see. So thanks for another question, Mind versus Misery. All right, we've got Grim. How many languages do you know, and do you plan to learn any more? Okay, so consequence of being dragged around the entire world for all of our upbringing, we did learn a few languages. So fluently, I would speak Spanish, Portuguese, Norwegian, and English. And then we learned a little bit of Catalan and French, but very, very little. So I don't count those at all. And in terms of learning new ones, I think Italian would be next on the list, because when you already speak Spanish and you already speak Portuguese, Italian is pretty close. And my name is Leonardo. That's I need to know Italian. Anyways, silly little joke there. Leonardo di Soy Boy. Let's see, we got but yeah, languages, it's really cool to learn and be able to communicate with people all over the world. And I think learning languages is something that is easiest done if you actually go to a place and you're forced to speak it, right? Anyways, thanks for the question. It's amazing to hear we all have to look at the positives during this uneasy time. That is true. Looking at the positive is extremely important from a mental health point of view as well. Optimism is not just a trait that you're born with. It's something that we can all nurture and let grow, and it's something that can really help us, stay healthy and stay positive during these times. And really, it's all about perception, right? It's one of the quotes I always remember. I love quotes. In the right context, quotes can tell a lot in a very short amount of time. I think Albert Einstein has a quote where he says, one of the most important decisions you will make in your life is whether or not you live in a friendly universe. And he said that's a decision you make. And that's not because, you decide, it's a friendly universe and then magically everything becomes friendly. No, there's obviously friendly and unfriendly. There's good and there's bad. There's love and hate and all that kind of stuff. But it's really what you focus on, what you nurture within your mind is what's really going to have an impact on you. And so really focusing on the positive aspects has always been a very good thing for human beings. And I definitely do try my best to stick to the positives as well. So that's something we can all do, especially during these times as well. All right, let's see. Falling behind, guys. So many questions. All right, I'm going to have to speed up here a little bit. We got, I'm not very good at multitasking either. Where were we? Oh, no. Okay. Please show us the amazing view you are speaking of. Go to my Instagram. It's all over there. If you don't follow me on Instagram, just at Dr. Leo Venus. I'll show you all the views there. Okay. So that was, I want to chat. See that? Oh, okay. Nice name, dude. Okay. We got Machinka. The issue is that unfortunately this change will not last. I do think you are right, but it shows us that it can be done, right? We always have all these excuses, but now hopefully, it will kind of motivate us to take a few more steps. But yeah, human beings are unfortunately very short-sighted, so it might not be a long-lasting thing. Probably not. But most places the quarantine is actually going up to a month, so it's probably just going to get even cleaner by the end of the quarantine in most places. Okay. Anyways, let's see if we've got any questions. So we've got a two-part question from Peter Simon. So number one, how is Hashimoto or Hashimoto thyroiditis related to type 1 diabetes? So most of these autoimmune conditions have a certain genetic predisposition, and Hashimoto's thyroiditis and type 1 diabetes has a few specific genetic predispositions or genetic tendencies to do with, I believe, the HLA or human leukocyte antigen, or it's basically a part of your immune system that has to do with the white blood cells, which are the ones that can become autoreactive to your own tissues. And so there is some sort of link where people who get type 1 diabetes are also at more risk of getting Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So and there's also a few different ones. There's, for example, celiac disease tends to be connected, and I believe also vitiligo tends to be connected with a few of those. So they're just kind of closely related immune system anomalies that can happen to people who have certain genetic predispositions. Okay, but none of these are are purely genetic. We've done genome-wide association studies where we've looked at people's entire DNA and looked for associations between autoimmune conditions and genes, and it's shown that most autoimmune conditions are not genetic. So they're not genetic diseases. And actually, one little known fact about type 1 diabetes is that type 1 diabetes is actually even less genetic than type 2 diabetes, and type 2 diabetes is not a genetic disease either. Anyways, that was a good question. Number 2, does eating non-starchy food help with the condition of Hashimoto's thyroiditis? So I'm not aware of any evidence that suggests that non-starchy food helps with the condition. So unless I see some papers that suggest this link, unfortunately, the internet is filled with advice that is non-scientifically backed. So I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that theory before. But thank you for the questions. Really appreciate it. We got Metaspace. Do you still think the coronavirus is overblown? So I think the coronavirus is definitely a huge outbreak. From a public health point of view, it's still, it's a huge deal for sure. It's a big outbreak, and it's a lot of people are going to die. I think at this point it's unrealistic to think that we're not going to get at least well over a few hundreds of thousands to 500,000 people dying by the end of the outbreak. So it is a big outbreak. The way I view it in terms of, is it a tragedy? Is it a catastrophe? I like to view things from a big picture kind of perspective. And when it comes to, there's been many epidemics before. There's been the Hong Kong virus. There's been Asian flu. There's been, even back to the Spanish flu, and some of these killed over 1 million. Spanish flu, I think, killed something like 50 million in a time where the population was way smaller than today. So these things have happened all throughout history. And yeah, it's always sad when you lose someone who's close to you. But, am I worried myself? No, I'm not. If anything, I'm a little bit worried about my grandmother in Brazil, who's 90 years old. But apart from that, we have to remember we live in a planet with over 7 billion people. And so, thinking that the world is ending and stuff like that, especially, I think we just went over 30,000 people. Of course, it's a lot of people who have died, but 150,000 people die every single day. So death is something that's always been around. It's a natural part of life, and that's not to disrespect or to reduce the importance of the disease, and it's not to say that we shouldn't try to do whatever is possible to avoid unnecessary deaths. And so I'm really impressed at how quick the public health authorities have been in spreading the message and getting this organized effort for most countries to do the social distancing and all this kind of stuff. And that's definitely going to have a very big positive impact. I mean, some of the projections we're talking about, whether, if we don't take any measures whatsoever, we were talking about, I believe it was 20, 30, 40, 50 million deaths, which, then you're starting to talk about a pretty big number of people, for sure. But yeah, it's definitely, the media will always overblow things. But in terms of the impact of the media, I think this time it might actually be one of those times where the media overblowing it can actually even be a positive thing, because a little bit of panic or a little bit of scariness can actually help people, motivate people to take things more seriously when it comes to outbreaks and viruses, and actually might have a positive impact in the long run in terms of reducing or mitigating the number of deaths and the effect that this virus is going to have on us. But yeah, I definitely do think it depends on the context, right? Everything we say, whether we're talking about a public health point of view or worldwide or individual, can be a very big deal for someone who loses a loved one. But for someone who doesn't get impacted by it at all, it's not a big deal. And from a worldwide point of view, it's not the world's end. It's not the hugest tragedy ever. But of course, it's a serious outbreak. Hope that answers your question. It's a good question as well. And I'm probably going to have to make another video because I have received quite a bit of hate since that first coronavirus video. But thank you, Metaspace, for that question. Okay, we got vitamin D from Melinda. Good stuff. Message retracted. I guess I can't read that. Let's see. Tyler, we got some messages here, but where is the next question? Okay, we've got some people having a chat here. Good stuff. This is not social distancing, it's physical distancing. It's another meme I saw online, that we don't have to not socialize, we just have to keep physical distance between people, but we can still have a social time here. On social media, this is what social media was built for, this outbreak. Everything happens for a reason. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, any questions here? Darren D, did you hear a person recommend things such as drinking, eating warm, hot things because it helps flush the virus out from living? Have not heard about that, so I can't comment on that. But it does seem actually to have a little bit to do with the temperature, how long it lives outside and stuff like that. But that's, every virus will have certain things like that, but it still spreads really well indoors. So I don't know how important that would be, practically speaking. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Wow, there's a lot of questions. There is a lot of questions. How would you describe yourself? How would I describe myself? I would describe myself as a very outspoken, sporty, beautiful soy boy. What kind of, that's a difficult question you're putting me on. How would I describe myself? Well, I'm very I'm very family oriented. I love my family. I love the outdoors. I love nature, and I really value the truth. I really value science. I really value reality orientation, and try to align myself with reality as much as possible when I can. And I believe that most conflicts in the world stem from either misunderstanding, lack of understanding between people, and misalignment between reality and your own subconscious beliefs. So if you believe something to be true and then reality is just hammering you in the different direction, saying, no, actually, this is how it works, but you don't accept that and you try to fight against, it'll cause a lot of internal conflicts. And this, it's the mismatch between expectation and reality that causes most mental pains in people all over the world right now. Hope that answers your question. Thank you very much for that question, though. Who was that? That was Red Genius. That was a genius question. Okay, we got another question from Mind versus Misery. What do you think of heavy metal? So I had a good friend. Some of you actually may have seen him in my last YouTube video. Cameron, went to high school together. He was a big heavy metal fan, and back in those days, I hated it. I just thought it was just screaming. People are just like, you can't even understand what they're saying. But I have to say, recently I have been listening to a little bit more metal in terms of when I'm working out and stuff, and I've been actually surprisingly enjoying it. So yeah, I'm not super for or against it. I just I like trying new things. I feel like getting too habitual about your preferences, whether it be hobbies or music or the places you like to visit, just it makes life boring. I like trying new things, and metal is something that I've tried listening to a little bit more recently, and actually has been more pleasant than I expected. It's not just being screamed my ears out. So anyways, that was the first question. Cattle and Decapitation is apparently the name of a band, and they deal with vegan-related issues. Interesting. So if any of you guys are metal fans and you want to check out a vegan-related band, then Cattle Decapitation is one. Did not know about that. Thanks for sharing. So let's see. Next one. Let's see. Oh God, that was not a question. That was a long paragraph. How get a flat abdomen? I'm skinny and vegan, eating healthy. Do you feel bloating too? Okay, so I'm not sure what you mean here. So how to get a flat abdomen? So I'm guessing you're just talking about that you're just constantly bloated. So there's a few things you can do for bloating. One of the things is obviously to avoid foods that you have any sensitivities to or allergies to. Some people can't take certain foods, and once you remove those, you can feel a lot better. For me, one of the things that always makes me very bloated is actually corn. If I eat corn, I get bloated. It's just like cause and effect. Every time I eat corn, I get bloated. So I always avoid corn, always. Other than that, there's things like drinking enough water. There's things like chewing your food really well. So one of the ways air gets in is if you swallow a lot of air. There's only one or two ways. Either you have to burp it back up, or it's gonna come out the other way. And then it's also a lot to do with you can always step up, especially if you're new to veganism. You can kind of increase the fiber intake slowly instead of just going from 0 to hero with almost no fiber, and then all of a sudden you're eating over 100 grams of fiber. Then your body's going to be like, whoa, what's going on here? So take it easy, and it's all right to take it step by step and take it slow. And then as your gut flora changes and you get accustomed to these things, then usually it gets better. And also with legumes that a lot of people have trouble with, soaking, cooking them really well, that kind of stuff, sprouting, those things can help as well. And not having especially chickpeas that take out of canned legumes, if you just have them without washing them properly, sometimes that can be a disaster. Become a gas chamber experience for everyone. It's actually one thing that happened to me once, I think. Actually, this was a protein powder I took. Actually, it wasn't even necessarily eating legumes. There was one type of protein, I think it was pea protein. I tried this. It was early days when I first went vegan, 7 years ago. And I got this pea protein powder. And I don't know what that pea protein powder did to me. It's the only time in my life where I've woken up in the middle of the night due to my own flatulence. And I woke up and I was like, oh my goodness, what is this smell? This is the worst, that's the worst thing ever. And for some reason, this protein powder just did not go well with me. And so there are a few things like that you learn over time that don't go too well. But yeah, everyone's different. Everyone reacts to different things as well. But there are ways to adjust. It's not like, oh no, the vegan diet failed me, I am now a walking gas chamber. There's usually many ways to avoid that. You just have to do a little work in the beginning to figure things out. Like anything new in life, there's always going to be a little bit of a adjustment period where you're learning a little bit of new things and adjusting to it. So anyways, I hope that answers your question. That was that Arkham? Yeah. No, Akram Alcazar. Thank you for your question. Okay. See, I'm going to scroll down here because I feel like I'm falling behind. So I'm going to scroll down. Let's see if we have any other questions here. Are you going to throw down? Are you going to throw down with Shawn Baker on a fitness challenge? That was Lentil Larry. Awesome name, Lentil Larry. I'm guessing you like lentils. I'm a big lentil fan myself. I guess we can be lentil buddies. I'm a bigger fan of soy, though. True soy boy here. But yeah, Shawn Baker. I just made a video about Shawn Baker. I've talked with Shawn Baker personally once on Primal Edge Health. Seems like a completely all right guy. It just seems like he's very misaligned with reality. He doesn't have the most realistic grasp on the real world. He seems to think that we are naturally carnivores, which is pretty ridiculous from a evidence-based or a scientific point of view. There are no serious organizations that have anything to do with anatomy or physiology that classify human beings as carnivores. So yeah, Shawn Baker, I would love to have a challenge with him. I mean, if it's a true fitness challenge, I think that would be a fun thing to experience. I feel a bit bad though because he's pretty old, so I feel like it's a bit unfair for me to kind of compete with him. But yeah, I think it depends. I heard he has a pretty good deadlift, so that's probably one place where he would beat me. And apparently he's a good rower. But I think I could give him a run for his money if you give me a few weeks to get my rowing skills up. And when it comes to fitness in general, like a lot of people think fitness have a very specific view of fitness, right? Like lifting weights is fitness, but fitness can be so many different things. And overall fitness, when it comes to if you're combining strength with speed, with agility, with endurance, with flexibility, with coordination, all that kind of stuff. I think a well-round fitness challenge, it would be a piece of cake to beat Sean. I definitely do think so. But that would be fun. Who knows? If there was a fitness challenge, I'd definitely be I'd be game. I'd be game. Thanks for your question, man. That was Lentillary. So let's see. We got. What do you think of Brazil's president going back to living normal despite the coronavirus? So Brazil's president is well known for doing a lot of weird stuff. So I don't really, again, I don't like to judge people I don't really know personally, but the little I know about him doesn't paint the most beautiful picture. Let's just put it that way. And yeah, I think again, in a society where people who aren't experts in a field get to make decisions about that topic, we're going to have a lot of mistakes being made. So obviously, the people who know the most about certain topics should have a bigger say when it regards decisions around those topics than someone who has no scientific background, right? Otherwise, you have people like Sean Baker and Barth Kay and these people who have no serious background in nutrition and no actual fund of knowledge to be standing on, giving absolute rubbish advice. So yeah, that's I guess I don't really have much of an opinion on him because I don't spend too much time thinking about him. But if he's telling people to live normally, that's it's definitely going to be against most public policy and most organizations that have anything to do with this outbreak. So it doesn't sound like the smartest move. If you want to protect your sick and elderly, especially, but even the population as a whole, of course, the more people get sick or the more people live normally, the more people are going to get sick. So let's see, that was that was Lentil Larry again. 2 questions from Lentil Larry. All right, it's a lentil party in here. Thanks for your question, Lentil Larry. All right. Actually, no, that was the Sean Baker Fitness Challenge. Okay, never mind. Okay, that was so the question about Bolsonaro. That was Betsy. Sorry about that, Betsy. But yeah, thank you for your question as well. Okay, so we got a question from /L1L1L/ somebody who really likes L's and ones and slashes. Leo, I have a question. What is your opinion on consuming oil? Please compare it with meat, dairy, and eggs. I actually think it is worse than the other 3 for one's health. So oil is a very broad term. Some oils are definitely worse than others. I'm not a big fan of oil. It's a processed food, and some of them are really, really, calorically dense and really nutritionally poor. If you're ever going to consume any oil, I would say probably extra virgin olive oil is the least harmful. It's been shown to not have the same affinity for LDL receptors. It also has a relatively good omega-3 to 6 ratio compared to most other oils. But yeah, in general, as a whole, I would say oils are not the best, but 100% I would say, it's difficult. When it comes to nutrition, it's very difficult to tease out these particular components and say, well, is oil worse than eggs or worse than meat or worse than dairy, for example, because a lot of these unhealthy processed foods have oil, but they also have sugar, and they also have butter, and then they also have eggs, and it's just very, very difficult to tease that out. So it depends. I would say it depends on the oil, and it depends on the meat, and it depends on the dairy product, and it depends on all that kind of stuff. But if I had to make the choice between olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, or those other things you mentioned, I'll definitely be choosing the extra virgin olive oil for sure. Okay, so hope that answers your question. That was the ones and slashes. Thank you. Let's see, what else do we got here? Will you and John do a podcast soon? I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything in terms of podcasts from him lately. I can ask him. I'll let you guys know if anything comes up. What do you think of anti-vaxxers? Anti-vaxxers are not welcome on my channel. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody is welcome on my channel. The thing about vaccines, we touched a little bit on that earlier, and I think the saddest thing about vaccines is it just really shows how how people are so quick to judge, and it's so, it's a place where people can't almost even have a civil discussion. People can't even talk about it without getting, hateful and extremely judgmental, and arguments get heated, get emotional. It's just such an evocative topic where just, a lot of people, I've heard even doctors, I've had doctors say, yeah, if an anti-vaxxer comes into my office, I'll kick him out. Like, they're not welcome here or whatever. So there's so much, judgment and stigma going in every way, every direction. And I have to say, I understand the idea of being forced to take a substance which isn't really completely natural, that two, you don't really fully understand, and we don't really have studies on the far long-term effects, and that three, people have talked a lot of talked about how it can be dangerous and stuff like that, even though that's not a reliable source of information. There's a lot of fear, and I understand that people are afraid of it, and I understand that some people don't like the idea of being forced to take all of these vaccines, especially when not all of them are completely necessary as well. So my opinion on anti-vaxxers is that they're human beings, and we should strive to understand and connect with them and have civil discussions with them. And if it truly is in everyone's best interest, then we should try to first understand their point of view and share our point of view. But this judgment, this criticizing each other and talking about, if you're an anti-vaxxer, you're an idiot and you're not welcome here and all this kind of stuff, completely unhelpful. And I completely do understand why, it goes against the feeling of freedom. It goes against the feeling of autonomy and being able to decide what you do with your own life, where you have this kind of, there is an industry behind vaccines. There's a big industry. There's a lot of money being made. And whenever you have money coming behind something like that, there's going to be a lot of skepticism. People are going to be afraid. So I don't think it's whether you are 100% vaccines are perfect and all anti-vaxxers are the worst kinds of human beings, or if you're anti-vaxxer and you think all vaccines are terrible and whatever. I don't think any of those stances are completely realistic. I think the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But I would definitely say that, from a public health point of view, if you look at the data, if you look at the evidence, there's no way of saying that vaccines haven't done a huge favor for us as a humankind in the past. We've even eradicated certain diseases that were huge sources of pain for so many people in the past, and they're completely gone from the face of the earth. Thanks to vaccines. So I understand both sides, and I think the most important thing to do here is to really rethink our approach on how we're doing the communication between these people, because we're people. Whatever stance you have, you're still people, and we're still a lot more similar than we are different, and we need to connect with that mentality. It's not we versus them. It's we, big group, we are together and we're helping each other. So I hope that was a pretty long rant. My apologies for that, but I hope that answered your questions. That was, let's see, where was that question? Anti-vaxxers. I'm losing track. Let's see, Lentil Larry. That was getting healthy on plants. Thanks for the question. So Melinda Glynak, where do you see yourself in 10 years career-wise, but also life-wise? And what is something you haven't done yet in life that you would love to do or achieve? These are some really deep questions. That's difficult. So 10 years from now, I mean, number one, I would like to be financially independent. So I would like to not have this huge student loan hovering over me as I do today. So that is one big thing that I plan on doing. I would like not to have to rely on living in my parents' basement. Kind of tied into the first one, the freedom there. I would like to. What else? I mean, like, I definitely do want to create something that can help a lot of people in the realm of health and fitness and lifestyle, and grow the influence and grow the impact on social media as well. So I'm going to continue doing that. In terms of fitness, I'm always trying to get fitter and stronger. So that's hopefully going to get even better 10 years from now. I think, I'm 27 now, so 37. We'll just say I'll my fitness is gonna peak at 37, and I'll be a beastly soy boy, or more like a soy man when I'm 37, and then in terms of hopefully I'll have started a family by then. Don't want to wait too long either. I mean, people are waiting longer and longer, but late 30s is definitely, I don't want to wait much longer than that. And yeah, just stay close to the family, have lots of good friends, already have a ton of good friends, already have a ton of good family, and just take it as it comes. I mean, I'm not a big planner of life. I just like to take things as they come. And in terms of doing things that I haven't done yet, traveling is one big thing that I still, most of my youth and growing up, the most traveling we did was to visit family, right? Because we have my mom's side of the family is in Brazil, my dad's side of the family is in Norway. So if we lived in the US or lived in Spain or wherever we lived, most of our vacation would be to visit one side of the family. So we'd either go to Norway, visit family there, or go to Brazil, visit family there. So we never did a lot of exploring in terms of going to completely new places and checking that out. So I've never been to Africa, I've never been to Asia. And when you say those things, Asia and Africa are huge continents. There's so much to see. South America, I've only really been to Brazil. So even in Europe, there's a lot of places I haven't explored. So a lot of traveling I intend to do, and just trying new things as well. Again, I think life is such a vivid, rich field of experiences, and I think if we get too narrow-minded in terms of if we plan things too strictly, we might be robbing ourselves of experiences that really can enrich the experience of life. So I'm just here to explore. I'm just here to be a wanderer who experiences what life has to offer. So, I hope that answers your question. That was a great question, Melinda. Thank you for that question. That was a very deep question there. Okay, so Lentil Larry again. Leo, is it true that protein is the most satiating macronutrient, and due to the nitrogen content, not all the calories are absorbed? This is why high protein causes weight loss. So protein and fats are generally quite satiating. There are certain receptors that are more particular to certain macronutrients. But fiber is also a very important component of satiety and getting full after meals. You also have the bulkiness of meal filling up your stomach. You also have stretch receptors. There's a lot of things. It's not that simple that one thing makes you full and another doesn't. So there's quite a few things that goes into that. In terms of absorption of protein, I think you actually absorb most of the protein you eat. It's just in terms of, I think a lot of people talk about the maximum amount of protein that will lead to muscle gains in terms of the stimulatory effect that has on MPS, or muscle protein synthesis, right? So once you get above a certain number of grams of protein, then usually that's not going to stimulate more muscle protein synthesis. So then from that standpoint, from that perspective, you could say that you're kind of wasting that extra protein that you're taking in. But I'm not aware of any problems with absorbing protein due to the nitrogen content at all. The thing about the nitrogen content is actually the way the body processes the amino acids, the building blocks of protein. One of the waste products is actually ammonia. And this is something that it's one of many toxic compounds that our body knows how to deal with and knows how to process them safely and remove them from the body. But that's one of the reasons why a lot of people think, one of many reasons why just completely overdoing protein is maybe not the best idea for your health, especially animal protein, which a lot of people would point out the complete protein profile or complete amino acid profile is something amazing, something positive, something to choose animal protein over plant protein because of. But it turns out the amino acid profile that is found in plants, which some people term as incomplete, actually is a much healthier profile in terms of a lot of these downstream effects on our metabolism that these proteins can have. So and then in terms of high protein causing weight loss, I think Definitely. If you're eating a lot of satiating foods that are low in calories, then yeah, that will definitely lead to weight loss. And high protein diets can also lead to, can help with keeping as much of your muscle mass as possible as you are going down in weight. So those are the main things in terms of protein, but it's not like one macronutrient will cause more weight loss over another. And at the end of the day, you're really, you're really dealing with mostly whether or not you're above your caloric maintenance calories. Of course, if you are going over your maintenance calories, then having a higher portion of carbohydrates in your diet is actually going to lead to less weight gain than having a higher portion of fats, because fats can be stored as they are, whereas carbohydrates would have to be processed by the body and turned into fat before they can be stored, and that is an energy intensive and pretty inefficient process as well. So there's a lot of nuance there, but that was a good question as well. Thanks, Lentil Larry. And yeah, lentils have a lot of protein, so keep on smashing those lentils. All right, so Susan Fritzl, were you the first person in your family? Oh, no. Sorry about that, guys. The chat just like updated and went all the way down, so I lost the question. Oh, yeah, there we go. Susan Fritzl, were you the first person in your family that became vegan? What was it that made you gravitate to begin with veganism? Was it a gradual process such as red meat first? So for myself, I was actually introduced to veganism through an ex-girlfriend long time ago. And I had never heard of a funny thing. Actually, our first date, I invited her over to our house. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make this the most romantic date ever. I went to the store. I bought like some the most expensive entrecot. I think it cost like, it was something like $40 or something. I was like wasting all of my student loan money on this date that I was going to make for this girl. And so I got this like super expensive piece of meat. And I had, I was going to make it kind of Brazilian style, a bit of salt, a bit of herbs. And then I was going to make the rice with the vinaigrette that we make in Brazil, some salad and stuff. And then she came over, we're going to watch a movie and then have the dinner. And little did I know that she was already getting into the vegan thing. So for her, she was like, oh shit, like I'm getting lots of meat now. I didn't want a piece of steak. And she felt so awkward telling me afterwards that she actually, is trying out this vegan thing. And I was like, oh no, what a waste. But basically she introduced me to that. I had no idea what veganism was. And I thought, like most people, it's kind of a hippie movement of just really weird stuff. I had like at that stage, I thought it was all like love life, love animals, and I say that was my mindset. And then now I think the ethical argument is probably the strongest argument when it comes to veganism. But at that point, I kind of was very skeptical, like most people, right? And you're gonna lose your muscle mass, you're gonna be unfit, whatever. So we ended up watching some documentaries like Forks Over Knives, etc. And this really I was already doing my bachelor's degree in bioengineering, so I was already introduced to the scientific method. I was already introduced to the critical appraisal of scientific literature and research papers. I was already doing statistical analyses of papers. So I was already introduced to the whole scientific world. And so when I was seeing this documentary that really made it seem so scientifically valid and so serious, I was like, wait a second, if this is truly the case, then I need to figure out what's going on here. So, I started reading more research papers, and the more I read, the more I was like, well, actually, there's some really good evidence for why we should be eating a plant-based diet. This is not just a hippie tree-hugging movement or whatever. There's actually some good science here. And so as a scientist should, I just had to admit to myself that, hey, what I was doing for most of my life was actually wrong. And so I have to realign my actions with this new knowledge that has come in and has shown me that actually this is a better way of eating for your health. And so I went cold turkey or cold tofurkey. And that was for my everyday life. I went whole foods plant-based. And back then we didn't even have a lot of replacement products. We didn't have a lot of mock meats. We didn't have a lot of all of these other things like ice cream and desserts and all this stuff. So I was really eating whole food plant-based, very healthy diet. And that went on for almost a year where I was doing it on my everyday. But then if I went out to a party or I went visiting family or whatever, I would still make exceptions. If somebody made me a meal that wasn't vegan and gave it to me, I would be like, fine, I'll eat it. But about a year in, I also got into the ethical, the environmental aspects of veganism. And that's where I completely cut it out. So that was my journey. And funny thing, actually, John was the most against it in the beginning. You'd all say, it's just a phase. You're just doing it for your girlfriend or whatever. And now it turns out the whole family is vegan, even a long time after she's been gone. So yeah, that's how it all started. It was a girl. It's a girl. Anyways, thanks for the question, Susan. Appreciate it. Let's see. I'm just gonna go down here. Sorry if I'm skipping some questions because there's just so many of them. Let's see. We're gonna go down all the way. I'll start here with Easy being vegan. Okay, Easy being vegan. How would you describe your personality in 5 words? These are the types of questions I don't like. What kind of personality is that? Huh? Who doesn't like these difficult questions? I would say I'm pretty relaxed. I'm pretty, I don't take life too seriously. So wait, I have to actually do this in 5 words. Okay. Relaxed. Understanding. Passionate about life, I guess. Positive. Stubborn. I'm a bit stubborn. Yeah. Well, I guess there's more words I could add, but whatever. That was 5. Thanks for that question. Difficult question, but appreciate it anyways. That was Easy being vegan. 5 words to describe personality. I actually took a personality test, but I don't really. I think personalities are something that can change as you grow and learn things in life. Your personality changes. I used to be a very different person 10 years ago than I am today. So personalities definitely are not something that is set in stone. It's not something that you have to just accept. It's something that can actually, change and work with as well. If there's certain aspects of your personality you don't think are great or good, or I don't even like that, and that's too judgy, helpful or unhelpful. If there's any part of your personality that's unhelpful to your situation, it can actually change. Anyways, thank you for the question. Easy being vegan. All right. Let's see here. We got T. Trevor. Do you leave any room for the possibility that your pursuit of truth will reveal over time that your implicit faith in the quality and integrity of the information sources you rely on was misplaced? That was a very philosophical question. Thank you for that question, T. Trevor. So I always try to keep an open mind. That's part of the tenets of being a scientist, is that whenever better information comes into your life, then you have to accept the best information available and realign your opinions, realign your beliefs with the better information, right? So as of right now, I cannot really see I've never seen anything better, right? Whenever we're talking about changing something or criticizing a certain system or a certain way of doing things, we have to have a better option. Otherwise, we're just criticizing without any solution. There's no purpose to that other than just creating more negativity, right? So unless you have a better system, I think you have to use the best that we have available. And this is kind of like with nutrition science, where we say, oh, well, epidemiology isn't perfect. Well, it's not perfect, but in a lot of areas, it's the best we have, and we have to use the best we have. So we're not going to go all the way down to personal stories and anecdotes. We're going to stick to the best science we have. And yeah, absolutely. If there's something that's better, then a better way of organizing your thoughts from an accurate and a truth point of view than the hierarchy of evidence, then absolutely I'd be open to adopting it. But as of right now, I've never seen anything like that. So, but that is a good question. Thanks for that, T. Trevor. All right, next one. Sal Felix, what's a good oatmeal to look for at the market? It's a good oatmeal. What kind of a question is that? Well, it depends what kind of oatmeal you like, I guess. Do you like the whole oats, or do you like the smaller pieces? Do you like to make porridge? If you like making porridge, you probably want the smaller rolled oats that you can just, more easily make into that porridge consistency. It depends. Yeah, if you're gluten intolerant, get the gluten-free ones. Yeah, it's pretty much all I have to say about that question. Thanks, Sal Felix, for the oatmeal question. No grains, no gains. Smashing the oats. All right, here we got another question. Oh wait, did I go up again? I've already answered that question. Huh, weird. Okay, anyways. Dark Knights, do you believe? Oh no, we have one here first actually. So we got Angel Marie. What is your favorite color? My favorite color is green, like a real hippie soy boy, vegan. Green is the way to go. We all want to go green, and it's, I don't know. I think green is a very nice color. It's kind of a very natural color. It's all over nature's color of life. It's the life coming out of the earth. It's in all the trees, all the leaves. It's just a very very nice, bright, lively color. I like green, but there's a lot of nice colors out there. So I don't know if there's any importance to which color is your favorite. You can still enjoy all colors. The multicolor rainbow, the vegan hippie rainbow. All right. Thanks for the question, Angel Marie. Do you believe in God? That was Dark Nights. So during the darkest of nights, when I really, I'm just joking, that was going to be a really terrible joke. But yeah, I do not really believe in God. I do think most religions just sound too man-made. They're all too similar. They're very man-made in terms of the ideas. There's just too many logical inconsistencies. It's just it makes zero sense to me from a rational point of view. All religions make zero sense to me. But that being said, I do understand there's a lot we don't know. There's a lot of things science cannot explain, and I do think there's a lot of things out there that we don't understand. And I do believe that there are, in terms of spirituality, I do think that we are a part of something greater, right? There's a lot of, the universe is a huge place and it's a mysterious place, and there's a lot for us to still discover. But just as a scientist, I feel like religion and science they're quite incompatible, because on one end you are believing in something with no evidence, and then in science everything you're doing is evidence based. So for me, it's just such a huge leap to go from believing in something with a complete lack of evidence, just to have faith. It always comes down to you have to have faith. You must believe. Whenever I talk to anyone who's religious, it's that's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim or a Jew or a Christian or Buddhist or whatever. At the end of the day, you have to believe in it, even without the evidence, even without the proof. You have to have faith. And when you think about that, it's really from a if you're going to be looking at, is this really a good way of thinking about it? Well, that argument can be used for anything, right? If having faith, if the measure of something being true or accurate was having faith, then how can you use that argument when having faith in something is literally something you could use to believe in absolutely anything? So having faith is, you could say, you just have to have faith that, and then fill in the blank. You can put in anything. So how can something that can be used to believe in absolutely anything be a good justification to believe in one thing, right? That's, to me, it doesn't make sense. But I have a lot of close friends. My best friend, one of my best friends in the whole entire world is Muslim. I've learned a lot about Islam, and actually how similar it is to, when I was completely ignorant about that in the past. I used to think, okay, Christianity and Islam must be so different based on how we judge each other and how different society views each other, where there's so much conflict between a lot of people from these two cultures. And I thought, oh, it must be so different. And then you look into it, it's almost the exact same thing. The religions are almost the exact same. There's a little bit of a difference with a different prophet there, a different story here, some minor differences, but it's almost the exact same thing. So that to me was a bit surprising. But no, short answer to the question is, I don't really believe in a God, but if he does exist, then I look forward to asking him some questions, because there's a lot. I would have a lot of questions to this to the God, and I hope he likes soy, That's my only ticket up there. All right, that's it. We got that was Dark Knights. Thank you for that question. Okay. Some conversations here. Cheeky Vegan, Abdullah. Let's see, we got a message here. Corona spam. All right, let's see. We have some other questions here. How many times has the course of history changed because it was for the girl? I'm telling you, girls are powerful. Always talking about how men created history and men were so overriding and so dominant throughout all of history. I'm telling you, history was mostly went down because of girls. Girls have a bigger impact than you think. Anyways, we got a Yamimana. Can I ask you what I should do about knee pain when I squat? It makes a bad noise and it's kind of scary. So that's a good question. There can be so many different things. I would have to take a complete history, examine your knee, maybe even do some investigations before I can tell you anything proper, but in terms of accurateness. But I would say probably, if it's something that's been going on for a while, maybe go to an orthopedist or visit your doctor, get it checked out. Most joint related issues, I would say the worst thing you can do, unless of course if you break a bone or something, then you have to, usually you have to keep that bone still so it can heal. But for most joint related issues, the absolutely worst thing you can do is completely stop. So you don't want to completely stop. What I would say is if you're getting pain and you're getting any stuff like this, what I would say is really, when squatting, one of the things you want to keep your center of gravity back. So you don't want to be loading your knees. So one of the things people say in terms of aligning yourself with the right technique is to keep your knees behind your toes, or not allowing your knees to go in front of your toes, because then the more forward you point your knees, the more weight you're actually driving through that joint. And then in general, when it comes to joint pain while lifting, I would say don't stop. The best thing you can do for joint health is actually resistance training, where you're strengthening the muscles and tendons around that joint. So resistance training is great, but I would say perfect the technique, forget the ego, forget the number of weights, like I want to squat this much or that. Forget all of that stuff. It's nonsense. It's not important. But instead focus on extremely good technique, slow movements, can do as much weight as you can do without pain, without getting any serious amount of pain. So if you're getting a lot of pain, take the weights down, do the movement slower, make it harder for yourself. So your muscles are still working, you're still training that joint, but you're not actually damaging anything that's hurting, or you're not impairing anything, any type of healing or anything like that from happening while you're working out. So I would say just really be strict on trying to do the best you can with what you have, and really taking the ego and the lifting as much weights as possible aspect of it out, and then just do slow movements, safe movements, and take the weights down, and then just slowly over time, hopefully you'll be able to build it back up. But stopping is the worst thing you can do for joint health. Hope that helps. That was that was Yamimana. Thank you for that question. Okay, so oh man, a lot of people coming here. I appreciate all the people checking in. Got Jorge back here as well, I can see. Awesome. So let's see, where were we? Fart K is in the chat. When will you debate me? Well, I'm not really a big fan of talking about farts, so probably not very soon. Let's see, what else do we got here? We got some people retracting their messages. Hey, don't retract your messages. Why are you retracting your messages? What are your future plans to focus on coaching and stay in Spain? So that was Mr. Bill Edwards, UK. So yeah, coaching is definitely going to be one of my focuses. Social media, YouTube, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Fitness, always going to continue trying to progress there. I'll be staying in Spain at least to the summer. I'm actually considering a few different things for the summer, or for after the summer. I might even go back to Norway for a while. One of the things I'm very passionate about and want to learn even more about, which is not something that's emphasized too heavily in medical school is actually human psychology. And when it comes to a holistic lifestyle, when it comes to mastery and optimizing your health, we're always talking about diet, exercise, sleep, relaxation, mental and social well-being, your psychology, right? And that, I think, is one of the biggest, most underrated, most underestimated aspects of health when it comes to importance, because people always think of the visceral, the real, the tangible things that you can do to improve your health, the things that you can see, right? The food that you're putting into your body, the exercise that you can see that you're doing. Whereas a lot of people have this view of psychology as just this like an untouchable kind of woo thing that's happening, and it's not very real, the impact it has, but it has physiological impacts on your well-being and on your health. And it's not a surprise. Your brain is a part of your body. Your thoughts are actually, when it comes down to it, neurochemical signals or biological processes happening in your body, and your brain, your mind is connected to the rest of your body. So it's no surprise that the way you think, the way the beliefs you have, the way you carry yourself, the way you're communicating with people, the way you treat yourself, your self-care routines, your self-love, all this kind of stuff, your perceptions of reality, your perspective on life, these things have huge impacts, not only on your life outlook and what the things that you do in life and how much you enjoy life, but also your physical health as well. So mindset and psychology is super interesting. I'm actually thinking of maybe doing some more learning in this field as well in the future. But in terms of goals, for now, coaching, is going really well. By the way, if any of you guys are interested in coaching, I think there's a link in the description box for that. We have some of the best coaching available. It's me, my brother, and Taylor, who's all together we have thousands of clients and over 10 years, probably over 20 years of being vegan in total, and coaching as well. So there's lots of good opportunities if you need any help. And now during the Corona time is actually a time where a lot of people are having more time to really focus on themselves, and can be a time to reconnect with your health mission and what is missing there. So if any of you guys are interested, there's a link for that. And there's also, I think I have a link in my bio on Instagram as well if you follow me there. But going to continue with coaching, and probably not going to be in Spain for too long, probably until the summer, and then probably going to go somewhere else. And then we'll see. Like I said, I'm a man with no plan, so we'll see what the future brings. But thank you for that question. That was Mr. Bill Edwards, UK. Thank you very much. Okay, easy being vegan. You seem very tall. How tall are you? Does your height affect your training in any way? So I am pretty tall. I'm 194 centimeters. I think that's 6'4". So pretty tall. And I actually have very long legs. So it's funny because I think John is 6'1", something like that. So 185 centimeters. So he's, there's quite a big difference between me and John. But when I sit in the car after John has driven, I actually have to put the mirror down as if I was shorter than John, because his torso is actually longer than mine. So even though I'm 3 inches or almost 10 centimeters taller than him, his back, his spine is longer than mine, and then my arms are longer than his. So it's very strange. We have very strange proportions, but then my legs are extremely long compared to him. So I think body proportions definitely does affect the way you train. I think for me, in terms of my body, if I was going to look at the mechanics of my body and just do what having really long legs, probably I would be a pretty good runner. Probably like either long sprints or maybe even long distance, maybe some type of jumping or something. It would probably be better for me to be a skinny runner, or if I'm doing long sprints, you're not really that skinny. But I think those things would probably be whatever long leg sports are, that would probably be better for me. But I just enjoy all sports. I like trying everything, and in terms of certain lifts, the longer your legs are, the deadlifts, for example, are very difficult for me. I've never been great at deadlifts. I think I trained for 1 year in Ireland when I was in med school. I took a deadlift pretty serious for 1 year, and I think I got up to something like, I think I did 3 reps on 210 kilograms, which is, I think, probably at least over 450 pounds. So it was getting pretty strong, but then I got some back pain at some point. I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to risk it. But certain lifts, definitely the longer your limbs, the longer your levers, it's just physics, right? The more force you need to move that lever, whereas the shorter is, the less force you need to move the same amount of weight. So if you look at someone who's really long limbs, really tall, lifting the same amount of weight as someone who has really short limbs, then that person with really long limbs is actually exerting a lot more force to move that weight. So I think that's why in a lot of competitive lifting sports, it's actually very good to be smaller. You don't see a lot of really tall guys doing Olympic lifts. But anyways, thank you for that question. That was, again, easy being vegan. Appreciate it. We got Patrick E. How much do you know about people who suffer from SVT? I found certain things can trigger it. Yeah, so a lot of different, again, there's different types of SVT. So by the way, if people are wondering, that's supraventricular tachycardia. And I think that's what you're talking about. At least that's one of the acronyms I know. And yeah, there's a lot of different things that can happen. Some people it's a genetic thing. Some people it's something that happens to them. It can be a exposure to something that causes damage to your myocardium or to the muscle tissue and to the conduction system as well. There's a lot of things that can do it. I actually have a friend who got a type N. Usually the older you get, the more chance that you'll have certain types of arrhythmias as well. So I wouldn't. Yeah, what's the question? How much do I know? Well, I don't know how much I know. How do you quantify that? I know a little bit. It's not like my field of my biggest field of expertise, but it's very interesting. It's very interesting. And I have a friend who would be really good at. He's really good at cardiology in general, so he could probably tell you a lot more about SVTs than I can. Anyways, thanks for the question, Patrick E. Next one, we got. That was Fart K. You can fart away. Let's see. We got Gozia Constanti. Did you hear about the water kefir? What do you think about it? This drink, it's like kombucha a little bit. I actually have not heard of water kefir. I used to love kefir when I was younger, when I was doing my bachelor's in Norway. Before I was vegan, I used to have dairy kefir, and one of my favorite snacks to have is I would watch a lot of shows back then, a lot of anime actually, and I would just get this humongous bowl of like the serving size bowl basically, and I would just have these kind of toast bread things that I would just break into really tiny pieces, and then I just fill it like a whole liter, like a full thing of kefir, and then I just just snack on that. Is pretty sounds pretty gross, but I would eat that regularly. And the other thing we have in Norway is brown cheese, which sounds weird for most people. It's basically this caramelized sweet cheese, and it's got goat milk in it, and it's got caramelized sugar. And it's very, very sweet. It's like kind of dessert. And I'd have like these what I call in Norway called knekkebrød. It's like these thin toasty breads, and then I'd make sandwiches. I'd do that brown cheese sandwich, and I'd like make a whole package, so it would just be a plate stacked up super high, and I'd just be eating one after the other. So I ate a lot. This is one of the things. I've always eaten a lot of food, and a lot of people say that when they say see I'm vegan, they're I could never be vegan, Leo, because I can never eat as much food as you. And I'm like, whoa, relax. I actually always eaten a ton of food, even before I was vegan. This is not a vegan thing for everyone. So oh, okay. Akkurat nå? Oh man, sounds like we have dinner. Do you want to say hi to the live? This is my little brother, by the way, for you guys who don't know. He's still the skinniest vegan, but he's actually making some gains. Look at those arms.
Soon I'll surpass you.
Yeah, he's always talking about soon I'll be the skinniest vegan, or not the skinniest vegan, the skinniest Venus.
Oh yeah, skinniest vegan.
Anyways, all right, I'll be right down. Thanks.
Yep.
So dinner is ready. One of the perks of living at home and get delicious food. And that's one of the perks of having a vegan family. We're all eating the same stuff, and my mom has really been killing it with the vegan cooking lately. So I think we'll just, we'll answer maybe a couple more questions real quick, just so that I don't miss anything big there. Let's see. Oh, we got like someone who's been spamming the chat here. Let's see. Another 2-part question. We got Peter Simon again. Okay, well, first, Sophie Puppet, when's your birthday? That's a quick one. So 6th of August. That's my birthday. I'm a Leo. Coincidence? I think not. Peter Simon, another 2-part question. Cowardness is a trait or behavior condition. How to get rid of it? Yeah, it's definitely not a something that you're born with or you're stuck with. I don't know like how you'd even define cowardness, but we all experience fears to different things, and there's definitely ways of getting around that. And again, personality traits can be changed over time. You can actually change who you are through changing your subconscious mind, and that's something that I think is super powerful, is when you understand how human psychology works and you understand how you can start restructuring your mind. It's actually you can transform yourself into quite an impressive soy boy. So yeah, absolutely, I look into behavioral change. I look into something called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and some of the different things they use there, like visualization, affirmations, ERP or exposure response prevention, where you can kind of put yourself in gradual increased exposure to the things you're afraid of, and eventually your subconscious catches up. It's like, oh, this is actually not a dangerous thing. There's a ton of things you can do, but yeah, I recommend you look into that. Jorge, smash the like button. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Everyone smash the like button. Just a little reminder before I go down to eat dinner now, I will be doing these every week. I'm thinking of doing them every Sunday. And yeah, so every Sunday I'm thinking noon Eastern time. If you guys think there's a different time that would be better, leave comments on the video. When I post this video, leave a comment when you guys want to see these lives on a weekly basis. And of course, you guys are always welcome to join and hang out here with Dr. Soy Boy. And yeah, if any of you guys, I think we'll just keep doing that, and we'll see where that goes. But let's see, we got someone saying, let's see, what that happened with there was so many. There was a ton of spam here. Oh yeah, here we go. Sean Baker accepted your challenge. Now you either put up or shut up. All right, cool. I hope he did. That'll be awesome. That'll be fun. Anyways, we'll see what happened. All right, Jazz, okay. You're spamming my chat. All right, you can jazz off now. Let's see. Do we have any more questions? Oh, we got a few more questions here. Okay. Apparently he made a challenge on his channel. I have to check that out after dinner. So that's fun. That's fun. Okay, cool. Anyways, let's see if there's any. Is there any more? Do another live, please. I will do another live next week. I'll be doing them every week, like I said, and we'll get to hang out on a weekly basis on Sunday. So I think I'm just gonna end it there. Yeah. I enjoyed this live. We've actually been here for almost 1.5 hours. Doesn't feel like it. It's been a great time to hang out with you guys, and some really interesting, deep philosophical questions today as well. So I appreciate everyone who came on. Thank you so much for watching. If you appreciate any of my content, I actually have a link to my Patreon down below, where actually once a month we're going to be doing live hangouts where everybody gets a webcam, like on a Zoom meeting, and we're going to do live hangouts where we sit and chat about whatever it is that people want to chat about. It will be a more kind of direct interaction than these lives, but I'll appreciate every single person on this live as well. So I hope you guys have an awesome Sunday. I will see you guys. I'll probably be uploading some other videos this next week, and then I'll see you guys for another live next Sunday. And do remember to give a like and then leave a comment when this video goes up, letting me know what are your preferred times in terms of doing a weekly live, because I want to really make this a weekly thing. I really enjoy connecting with you. This is why I'm doing this for, is really helping you guys with any questions you have, health, vegan, fitness related. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely did so, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for coming by.